we've crossed that uncanny valley with deepfakes. I think we've actually gone to the point where it's really hard to tell what's a deepfake and what's not. When those two things intersect and they both cross that valley, we're in big trouble. So that's what we're kind of preparing for next is getting organizations prepared, because the future is going to be adversarial AI and agentic AI paired with deepfakes and stuff like that to try to automatically get into an organization. And it's pretty frightening.
Hello, my fellow humans, and welcome to the Multiverse Technology Podcast. Today's guest is Jason Thatcher, global expert on cybersecurity, digital transformation, and technology's role in organizations. Jason, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Nice to meet you.
If you could kind of let us and the audience know a little bit about your journey, what's kind of shaped your life from where you've come to right now and how you're helping people with Breach Your AI.
Yeah, good question. So in a nutshell, this to kind of walk through what we do is we build educational content and basically help organizations prepare for advanced AI, phishing, social engineering attacks, and deepfakes. So basically, we're helping organizations prepare and then get educated and with awareness for kind of these emerging threats.
So what's the difference between AI threats and normal phishing threats?
Yeah, it's the next iteration of phishing, right? Like we've prepared for phishing emails for 20 plus years. This is the next iteration of phishing. I think it's phishing like 2.5, where they use AI deepfakes to call someone for perfect voice clone, agentic AI. It's what's here, and I think this is kind of where hackers are going to start to kind of focus and leverage AI more often.
Have you seen this in the real world taking flight just yet, and then how are organizations going to prepare for this? Because I know with phishing, we barely just got a hold of how to do that, and still we don't know how to do that. Let alone we have AI in the make to now impersonate our organizations.
Yeah. So yes, these are happening in the wild. There's been a couple of very public cases, but off the record, kind of confidentially, we're hearing organizations reach out to us and just telling us about attacks or attempts, including ones that have worked. So it's occurring more frequent than it's making in the news. These are actually occurring more often than we think. So yeah, I can't give specific examples, but broadly speaking, one of the ones that we've caught wind of was an impersonation of the CIO, where basically his voice was cloned and ended up getting into the organization through phone call.
How are organizations going to protect themselves from this? So what kind of training do they need? What's so different between this and the phishing?
It's different vectors, right? And it's a combination of people, process, and tech. Everything is always people, process, and tech. But I think AI and deepfakes, right, is really an attack on the trust layer and not just the technical layer, right? So you have all these great defenses that are very effective at stopping kind of phishing. But it's a human trust factor. Like, I'm talking to you on this video call. I trust that it's you, right? And deepfake has that ability to basically warp that trust. You can clone someone's likeness on a video phone call and yeah, like just impersonation or spoof an identity. And that's what we want to teach, right? Is like you can't just rely on your eyes in today's day and age. You have to go layer deep and focus on the context of the situation.
I know so many of us are so busy. I guess they're kind of hoping that we don't pay attention to who we're talking to, that we are caught in our every day to day.
Yeah.
What are some things that you guys are teaching to help people kind of take a step back and making sure that that is who they are talking to?
It's really hard. It's a hard problem to solve, to be candid, but we have a very simple framework that we call the STOP framework, and it's basically slow down, right? So social engineering, adversaries, yeah, slow down, like literally take a deep breath, relax, don't feel pressured to act on something, right? So if you're ever like in a high pressure situation, if you feel someone trying to apply pressure to get you to act, it's a big red flag, right? And it's like that in every scenario. Like if you're trying to buy something and someone kind of high pressure tactics or whatever, that's a red flag for me. So it's step one is just slowing down, taking a deep breath, and then taking a step back before you act on it. T, trust less, right? Don't take things at face value. There's a flood of these deepfake videos on YouTube from like famous celebrities that are telling you to buy this product or whatever. don't blindly trust something, right? Like verify from the source of information before you act on it. Out of band verification, someone's calling you on a cell phone, right? Pick a different source of communication to verify that request. It's really important. So like don't don't just rely on one band of communication. Try to double verify if you can. And most importantly, policy, procedure, and process, PPP. If you're in a corporate setting, following strict corporate guidelines for how you conduct transactions or process information or share confidential information is really, really important. So sticking to corporate policy and communication channels is really important. So those 4 steps, TOP, slow down, trust less, origin verification, out of band verification, policy, procedure, and process.
I like that, especially the policies and procedures are very important. I know some companies don't have those up to date, even just for basic cybersecurity measures right now, and that's very dangerous.
Mhm.
So let me ask you this. If there's a company that says they have an IT guy, is that enough? Or they need to reach out to another company? Can they do this themselves with like your product? Like what's that kind of roadmap for someone?
Yeah. So in theory, it's anyone can do this, right? Like an organization, if they're trained enough, they could potentially do what we do. Where we differentiate is that we are an external third party. So we give an unbiased approach and we come in basically hot to an organization. We look at a company, we assess their footprint, we figure out how exposed they are. We make high quality deepfakes, which are still relatively hard to do. And then we'll basically execute these scenarios aligned to departments and just test to see how vulnerable they are, right? You mentioned policy, procedure, and process, right? A lot of companies spend a lot of time and money and effort building these policies, procedures, and process, but they never test them. And that's what we do. That's our core focus is testing that process. As an example, like if you do a wire transfer to an organization, can I deepfake the CFO? Can I come in and initiate a wire transfer externally? And the answer is yes. We've been able to do that and very easily too.
That sounds scary. I know there's usually lots of money involved in a lot of those transactions. And like you said, the red flag is the urgency, the sense of urgency. Like, come on, we have to get this done. Come on, right now. You might be fired.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
people kind
Yep.
of fall for that.
Yep.
So I imagine there's a lot more training that we need to do for our companies and organizations. Because like from my learning, it's not just the CEO, it's not just IT, but it's the entire company. Like, it's a community. We have to come together and everyone has to be trained the same way. And some of them have to train even higher than others based upon their roles.
Exactly. And that's the part that's lacking, right? Like so much of the training today is just generic and it's broad, which is important. And you know the basics, right? But very rarely is it aligned to someone's role. Is it aligned to the process of the organization? Is it aligned to policy and procedure? And is it advanced, right? Is it a real world kind of scenario? And that's exactly what we're doing is we're testing that kind of that layer deep where the function of the organization is challenged to understand if their policy actually held up under a real world scenario. And that's where we come in. There's very few people that do that today.
Now, do you guys use the automation to do this, or is there a person involved? What's kind of like the process? Like, what would it look like? Is if I come in, like, I would like to use you guys to help me protect my company from this. Could you kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. So we do human in the loop for some, we do full automation for some, we do manual for some. Just depends on what we're engaged to do. The thing that we're testing heavily right now is agentic AI. So it's using basically an agent to see how far we can get an organization through automated means. So like think of it as spinning up a chatbot linked with a deepfake of a CEO that's able to converse with you. And that's what we're really testing right now. And luckily, like just to be candid, our observations are the agentic kind of conversational flow. A lot of people can still tell that that's AI. It sounds kind of robotic, but
Yeah,
it's getting better really quickly. Are you familiar with the term the uncanny valley? Do you know what that is?
I am not. Could you explain that, please?
Yeah. Let me explain this. This is really an interesting concept. If you ever watch like a zombie movie or a horror movie and they look kind of human, right? You get repulsed because there's something off with their face, as an example, right?
Yeah,
And so it gives you that kind of that gut reaction where you're like, ugh, that's gross. And that's the uncanny valley. But as something becomes more kind of human looking, right? You drop your guard, you become more comfortable with it. So as an example, like something that looks exactly like a human, you wouldn't be as guarded because it looks same. That's your gut check wouldn't necessarily trigger in that case. So
That's what they're doing with the robot creation right now, making them more human so we can accept it more.
exactly, yeah, yep. And we've crossed that uncanny valley with deepfakes, right? I think we've actually gone to the point where it's really hard to tell what's a deepfake and what's not. So that's why we focus on context. Like if you look for glitches for deepfakes, it's a failed approach because they're not going to be there. But AI, like agentic AI and having a conversation, we're not there yet, right? It hasn't crossed that uncanny valley. But when those two things intersect and they both cross that valley, we're in big trouble. So that's what we're kind of preparing for next is getting organizations prepared because the future is going to be adversarial AI and agentic AI paired with deepfakes and stuff like that to try to automatically get into an organization. And it's pretty frightening.
It seems like the Armageddon like experience, like this is the end.
Yeah, yep,
This is
yep.
it,
It's
guys.
I don't want to induce fear, but I want people to mentally be prepared that this is what's coming in the not too distant.
Hey, my fellow humans, sorry to interrupt your video, but if you're looking for more ways to protect and empower your healthcare practice, we would love to help. At ITCMD, our mission is to simplify IT, boost security, and support your compliance journey with a human touch so you can focus on caring for your patients. Want to see how easy IT and cybersecurity can be? Schedule a free consult or check out our resources at iteecmd.net. Let's build a safer, stronger future together. Okay, bye.
Futures.
I know I talk to organizations a lot, and some of them feel that, oh, well, we're small. This is not going to bother us. But yeah, we got that policy. They're abiding by it. But I feel that people have the wrong approach and mindset and understanding how big of a problem this really is going to become.
Yeah, yeah. It's there's some truth to that, right? I think smaller organizations are less at risk for this specifically because they're interconnected, right? You have the same people in the same office,
You know
and you
everyone.
can yeah, exactly. And you turn around, you flip a chair, and you say, "Hey, Johnny, is this you calling me on the other line?" Right? And the answer is no, right? Because they're so small and tight knit. So I think smaller
True.
organizations that are really kind of very close knit actually have an edge against this, but organizations that are disconnected and the bigger you get, right? Think of a multinational, you have offices in New York, Japan, etc. That's where I think you're going to get in trouble because you're not able to do line of sight to the CEO or someone.
That is so true. Bigger they get, the less you know people.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
I feel that it's not doing the best you can for your organization if you're not on top of this right now and learning as much as you can about it, how it's going to affect your bottom line, what your risk tolerance is, where this can affect you down the road, and start building in a program or something right now. Even if you're not there yet, but building it, reach out to someone as yourself and just seeing how you can kind of build that roadmap to help you. So as you get there, you're not like bombarded, like, oh crap, we didn't do anything. We did no planning. We're screwed.
Yeah. Yep. And even if you do plan, right, and you think you have policies for this, testing them, right, just taking that extra step and it's putting them up to the test. We found that organizations may have a policy or control, but once it actually goes through the gamut and gets tested, it doesn't always hold up, right? And it's because employees don't adhere to it. Like in the organizations that I've worked over my career, have I gone through the acceptable use policy for an organization? Yeah, right. I do it once during onboarding. And then 4 years later, if you ask me what was page two of the acceptable use or armor, hell if I know. It's just
Right?
it's not top of mind. So employees forget, they don't care, or they're just too busy to basically even think about it. So that's what we're really kind of looking for is does that policy actually work when you put it up to muster?
And I've actually gotten into that with a few companies I've worked with. Like, have to let them know that if you have the policy, now you have to test, you have to enforce it, and you have to remember them. Because we're human beings, not going to remember anything we read last week, but we refresh ourselves on it. It helps us put it top of mind more and be kind of, okay, I know what to look for, I know what to do.
Yep.
So in
Exactly.
that, what is your guys' training like? Like, what kind of training do you have?
Yeah. So we have agentic AI bots, basically a conversational bots that will deepfake the CEO or the CFO and we'll give it to the organization and then have the users interact with it so they can see how realistic it is it's getting. It's people freaking like it goes like wildfire. We send one bot to the security team, they share it and they talk about it with a group of users, and they share it with the next, and they do a lunch and learn. This it's really interactive, and it's a different approach to kind of keeping this stuff aware, because you can look at slide decks and kind of quizzes, right? We do some of those too, but
Yeah, but that doesn't hit home very well.
exactly right. So having like a real
Psychology.
world, like it just exposing people to this and having it be more immersive definitely keeps it more top of mind. And that's the impact that we're going for. So it's a combination of phishing simulations, very small sort of engagements, occasional content. We make deepfake videos of people, we make audio deepfakes and then share it with the organization. And so your end user, if they can converse with the deepfake and the CEO, like that is super, super impactful. And that's really the objective of the goal we're looking for.
I can imagine seeing my face or a CEO I've worked with their face up on the message. I think it's them. I'm like, oh, cool. Let me just transfer money to you. No big deal. But I would do that because I question everything, sometimes to a fault. Even the real person, I'm like, are you really real? Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, yeah, you nailed it, right? That's what we want. We want people to question, kind of don't take things at face value. And why I'm so passionate about this and I advocate it is if an organization teaches this framework and this approach, people can take that same concept and they can apply it in their personal lives, right? As an example, like you go home, you get a phone call, it's your child, God forbid, Dad, I'm in jail, send me a 10K, right? Or I've been kidnapped, send me 15K. I've had
Yeah.
friends and family members who've been virtual kidnapped and they've fallen victim for it, right? And because it's fear. It's, hey, send us 15 grand immediately, wire transfer to me, or yeah, exactly. And that is terrifying. That's horrible. But again, like teaching this framework, you can take that same concept, you can apply it at home. And yeah, I think it is the way forward is contextual sort of awareness and how to react and how to respond and how to handle these situations.
I agree with that 100% because everything is based upon psychology. And sometimes we don't know how to take action correctly or be proactive about things. Like you said, we take it at face value and we just go through life not paying attention so much, but we really need to start paying attention more. And that does go into both the personal life and business. The more we pay attention, the more we see things, the more we can be proactive and react responsibly and not react irresponsibly. And then that's where things kind of fall apart.
Yep, I agree. And on psychology, you nailed it, right? It is psychological. The thing that
Yeah.
the people I think gets missed is authority bias, right? So you're naturally predispositioned to act on requests from an authority figure, right? So as example, like my dad calls me up tomorrow and say, hey, you need to do this. I'm doing it, right? And that's just ingrained with me since I was born. But the same concept applies in the workplace, right? Like you get a phone call from your C suite, your CEO, your CFO, you are naturally
Yes, sir.
trained.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Exactly. Right. And that's authority bias, right? And I think that's what gets overlooked is that people are more inclined to react on urgency if it's an authority figure that they recognize versus, random scammer that they've never heard of before hang up the phone. So it's
Yeah.
it's a newish vector, I think, for deepfake specifically, is that authority bias
And
component.
that's a powerful one, especially with how human beings work. I try and teach people to question everything. Just because they're your CEO or your parents doesn't mean you can not say no. Doesn't mean you can't question it. 'Cause we were trained one way, so now we're having that training being used against us in another way.
Yeah,
And it's kind of like, well, what the hell, man? What are we supposed to do?
yep. It's
They, just because these threat actors really find ways how to get around stuff and playing that psychological warfare. Well, the game's almost over before it's been started.
yeah. And yes, you're correct. Yeah, it's an adversary is going to find a way to get around defenses, right? Like think of like a fence, right? There's this big fence and it's locked or a gate and you can't get through, right? What are you going to do? You're going to look left and right and see if there's a gap in the fence, and that's the way that you're going to go. And that's what they're doing, right? There's very few technical controls that can fix this today. There's some, right? But it's definitely not defense in depth, which we're used to for cyber. So out of kind of the gap in the fence, right, or the security stack, I think the deep fakes and AI is kind of one of the biggest gaps I'm seeing at the moment.
So you're telling me there are basic security measures of multi-factor authentic drive me crazy, and basic phone calls may not be enough anymore for organizations are doing?
It's effective, right? but it depends on the attack, right? So think of phishing. Traditionally comes in through email, right? We have great security tools that will block phishing emails and all that stuff. But I pick up the phone, I can probably call you today and get through without being challenged. And that's the difference, right? That's the problem.
That's scary.
Yeah. So what's going to stop me from picking up the phone, calling up an employee on their landline? The answer is there's very few things that's going to stop me from doing that. Social media is another example, right? I make a fake LinkedIn account. What's going to prevent me from really reaching out to the employee and trying to get them
I feel
to
like
do
we
so?
haven't even solved the problem of social engineering. That's
Yep.
still a huge threat. That's still the most powerful way to get things done. Like you said, you call an organization. Usually, that person's not trained. They're too busy, and they're just like giving out all this information they shouldn't be. Or I say I'm IT. Let me get your password. Oh, sure. Let me give it to you without asking any questions. And like, whoa, what are you doing? And
Hmm.
it's like, but now we have the deep fakes, and that kind of just throws everything else out the window almost because a whole new way of trying to really think, problem solve, and protect.
Yep. It's a different factor, right? Like if I pick up the phone and I've cloned your voice exactly like you, and I'm able to automate the conversation behind it, what's your last line of defense? Or what's your first line of defense? And the answer is it's education, it's knowledge of the problem and how to respond to it. So I truly believe that knowledge is your first and your best line of defense. Is just
So
being
true.
educated and aware.
I keep trying to push out on organizations I work with, letting them know we have to. Everyone has to learn these things. It doesn't matter if you're the janitor, the receptionist, or the CEO. You know, every like if I was a threat actor, I would go through the receptionist or janitor to get trying to get in. But they may most likely have the weakest passwords or none at all, or they may be willing to spill out information. So like, oh, I don't care, whatever. You know,
Yep.
we all have
Yep.
to be trained.
So yeah, that's where we come in. That's what we do in a nutshell.
Do you have anything that you would like to let our audience know, and also how they can reach out to you if they want to protect their organizations too?
Yeah. So check us out, breacher.ai. Feel free to visit the website. We have a bunch of live demos. So if you want to actually chat with an agentic AI bot, we have a couple on the website. It's kind of eye-opening. People are like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this exists. So yeah, just being aware of the issue, spreading awareness, I think is it's really important. So yeah.
Awesome. I'll definitely put that in the show notes. I just imagine me going to that site and you guys create one looking exactly like me. I'm like, oh hell no, not today, not today. I did not wake up on this side of the bed.
We're recording this, right?
Yeah. Oh wait, man. Stay tuned for the next episode. Me versus me and Jason.
I love it. I love
That's
it.
actually not bad. So it brings me to a point. I actually had a guy on here when I first started doing my podcast. His name was Alex, a couple months back, a while ago. And we were talking about deep fakes and trying to combat them. And he was like, he created some kind of hardware that you could use, but it really didn't work out as he wanted it to. But it's just one of those things to have on top of conversation, how we can fight this, how we're going to be able to combat this as time progresses in the better AI scenarios. Yeah. Well, Jason, I want to thank you for coming on here today. It's been a really great talk. And even I learned a lot about this. I know this is one of those conversations that's not quite over yet. Still got a lot more to learn and figure out in this space. But thank you and your team for helping us out as best as we can out there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.